There was a moment when all was known. You could feel beauty rising on the breeze that shapes the stone, and I would ride upon the breeze that shapes the stone, across the sky and beyond, to that place where all is known. When I could fly, when I could fly.
Hello. Hi, my name is Sue Skasky with Vermont Volunteer Services for Animals Humane Society, and welcome to our show for the animals. Today we have a really exciting show because we're doing it at my home and the office of VVSA Humane Society. And today we have a great show. It's going to be a double show. And to start off the show, we have Dr. Jennifer Lesser, who is from the Norwich Regional Animal Hospital. And would you tell me exactly where you're located?
We are just outside the community of Norwich. We are on Route 5. It's about 1 mile south of the King Arthur Flower Retail Facility.
Is that north or south?
It is south.
Okay, great. Tell me about your facility.
So we focused our facility on being this warm environment that you come into the clinic, and it's got a very homey feel, but it has all the cleanliness and all of the facilities of the hospital. So we have large exam rooms, we have area rugs, and we have large picture windows. And the big thing that we focus on is unparalleled, unsurpassed customer service. So we have this great staff who's very knowledgeable in veterinary medicine and super friendly, very compassionate.
Well, you know, just from the past 2 hours meeting you, I can attest actually very one-to-one, very friendly, and I get the sense very comfortable talking with you about animals, including Skinny Minnie.
Skinny.
It's
great.
Dr. Jennifer just found a little tap or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Small skin wound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, tell me, when you come into your house, into your office to work, what's your day like?
We never really know what's going to happen, so we have this schedule, and that schedule can be turned on its head in a minute. Sometimes I'll come into the hospital and there are 5 people that have called and said, I have a sick pet, when can you fit us in?
Waiting
and
at your
sometimes
door.
it's very scheduled. Yes, literally waiting at the door.
Right.
But the day is very well run with the staff and the office manager and very understanding clients and the triage if that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's generally a mix of appointments that vary from kitten and puppy appointments to surgeries, sometimes chemotherapy, and it's diverse and it's wonderful.
So what's your vision for the development of your practice?
First and foremost, we want to provide this top quality medical care and surgical care for pets and families of the community. And for each family, that varies very widely. So for some families, their pet is very much a central part of their family. And if they don't have kids, oftentimes they are that family's children. Mm-hmm. Or it's their only companion if they're widowed, or many other things. Some families, they're very much on the periphery. So they might be a barn cat that just showed up on their property. They're kind enough to feed them. Sometimes they vaccinate. Sometimes they do the flea and tick parasite, internal parasite control. And so what we try to do is for each person that comes in, that we really truly listen to what they need, what they want, and then pull in the needs of the pet and provide them with the knowledge of how to best care for the pet. And for some people, it's going to be all they can afford to do is a rabies vaccine. And so we understand that. We try to inform them of all the best possible primary care that they can provide. But literally, if that's all they can do, and they're worried about paying their mortgage, then that's what they can do. And then on the other side of that, we've got people where not only is it their companion, it might be their seeing eye dog. It might be their treasured friend and sporting dog, or a dog that's walked the AT with them. So in those instances, they might be running to Boston every 3 weeks for radiation therapy. So we manage everything from one end of the spectrum to the other and try to be very, very cognizant of what that client needs and what their pet needs.
The exciting thing is that Dr. Jennifer also joined VSNP, the Vermont Spay Neuter Incentive Program, which is the program that Vermont Volunteer Services for Animals Humane Society does. We have now 81 different points of service throughout the state that will offer low-cost spay neuter for people that are in need. So that's exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what do you see your vision for the future with the community?
Vision for the future, we want to stay a very tight-knit hospital. So many people have asked us, what do you plan to do? What do you see your role as being? And this is my second hospital. My first hospital was very, very busy. And again, that one started from 0 to about 2,500 clients in a couple of years.
Where were
and
you?
I stayed, that was just outside Bethany Beach, Delaware.
Okay.
And I stayed as the primary vet and saw 98% of the cases. Because adding in another doctor that has the same goals, the same commitment, is a tough find. It's hard to make that good match for both yourself and your staff.
Yeah.
So in the future, we certainly might add on another single veterinarian, but what our goal is to maintain the tight relationships with people, not to grow so large that we don't really truly know each time a pet comes in what's going on with that pet.
So you
what
remember them
historically,
from time to time.
exactly.
Yep. Okay.
And no matter how good your medical records are, if you bounce, whether it's you with your MD or you with your dentist or you with your vet, when you bounce from one primary care person to another,
Right.
there's a lot that's lost in that shift. So even with the best medical records, it's very hard to have that
Connection.
connection and
Right.
that continuance of great care. So, and that's our goal, is that no matter what people choose and what level of care they choose for their pet, we want to do it really, really, really well. So our commitment of quality, our commitment of making people feel comfortable when they come in and to feel confident in that what we are suggesting for them is the very best thing for them and their family, that's what's really important to us. So we're going to try and absolutely maintain that. Also, people have asked us, when you come into the facility, it's, especially in the treatment rooms and in the surgical spaces, we have these nice tall ceilings because it's a timber frame building that we moved into. And so we've got the equipment, we've got these great, we've got digital dental x-rays for the mouth, so we can do a lot of care there.
Really?
And then separate to that, we have the digital body system. So there's a lot of things that we've got, and we have an ultrasonographer that can come in at the drop of a hat to look at more critical cases. But people have asked us, will you try and transition to a 24-hour ER facility? And that's not something we want to do. We have a great referral hospital that does specialty care and ER care just 5 minutes from us. So we want to leave that to them. And then we want to maintain that to be the primary pet care hospital for both medicine and surgery as a day practice. And then leave the ER to the ER docs.
Okay, so in wrapping it up, tell me, what is your favorite part of practicing veterinary medicine?
My favorite part is, I think, hearing the stories and learning the fabric of how that pet meshes in with a family. So just yesterday I had the client, she's a new client, but she was so excited, I had to tell her about her lab work, and then she was so excited to tell me about how her 2-year-old Basset drug her dog walker down the streets of Norwich and found this squirrel that was caged.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
It was caged, and I'm not sure what was going to happen, but it was in a plastic container. So they released it, happily scrambled up the tree, and the owner, as she should have been, was so pleased and proud of her pet for doing this. This made that woman's day, and she's so proud of her dog, who is just this huge part of her household.
So I understand that you work with Upper Valley Humane Society too.
We do. So we believe very much in working with our friends and our neighbors, and in particular, of course, in helping animals in our community that do not have loving homes. And so we reached out to the Upper Valley Humane Society very quickly after opening because we had some time that we could spare. We had staff and wonderfully dedicated staff. And so that helped us to establish those relationships in the community, and they had a very strong need. So at this point, we probably talk to them daily about whether just whether it's a protocol in their hospital, and they have a number of veterinarians in the community that work with them and provide some knowledge and provide some guidance in caring for these animals. But they're a wonderful facility. They work very, very hard, whether it's with training or if it's with providing medical care. And they're very committed to adopting out animals that have been tested from behavior standpoint, tested medically, and that once they're released, that they are going to be a good part of that family. And then they need very, very little medical care. And then, of course, once they are released to families and adopted out to families, there's a number of veterinarians that then will offer complimentary exams to the families, because oftentimes there's questions that families have when they enter into the household of how to best adapt them. And of course, if there are any small medical concerns, we help with those too.
Well, you know, it sounds very exciting that you're now already very integrated into the community, and I think we have to definitely put up your contact information on the screen so people can get a hold of you.
Great.
And welcome you not only into the Upper Valley, but also into VSNP's Vermont Spay Neuter Incentive Program, where folks that need help with spay neuter can call us at 1-877-867-1424 to get an application to apply for a low-cost spay neuter. And welcome being our newest recruit.
Thank you. You have a wonderful, wonderful program, and we're pleased to be a part of it.
We're happy. You know what? It evolved out of our program back 20 years ago, and we're proud of it too.
It
Thank
should
you.
be.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now for a very exciting part of our evening, James Lee Stanley, a friend from California, to do his own music. Enjoy.
Well, thank you very much.
I'm just trying to figure out the first one.
Cheers. Cheers, ladies.
Okay. Thank you for watching For the Animals, and we have our very good friend and recurring guest, James Lee Stanley from California, here to play his original music and a lot of others, hopefully requests from the audience. Thanks, James, for coming out.
I was in the neighborhood. I was a mere 400 miles from here, so hey. And also, my GPS on the way here sent me up some dirt roads that were, I mean, I didn't know the GPS had dirt roads. I thought they had. They sent me up something called Long Hill, and from there I went up to a dead-end road, and I thought, well, it's GPS. They must know what they're doing, but no, it was a dead-end road. So the thing you have to remember about GPS, folks, is that you have to impose your own actual intelligence and experience over the top. You have to overlay that over the machine, because the machine is an idiot. So I'd like to start out with a song I haven't played in a while, actually. This is a tune inspired by Katrina. I did want to mention, you probably see the video camera there, those of you who are facing this way. And I wanted to make sure that you all knew that wherever you see me perform, any place in the country, with no matter who I'm performing with, because I have performed with some major people, but no matter who I'm performing with, whenever you see me, you're welcome to record any show that I do. You can videotape it or audio tape it, you can iPhone it, I don't care, please. So you know that. As a matter of fact, you can make copies of my shows, and you can give them to your friends. I don't care, okay?
Do you have CDs?
As a matter of fact, you can make copies of my shows, and you can sell them to your friends. And you can keep the money. I don't care. I do have one small request, though. Should you begin to make, serious money selling copies of my shows, would you please be so kind as to contact Beechwood Recordings in Los Angeles, California? That's where that's my CD label. Please contact them. Tell them how you did it. Because they don't know. I got with that label, I feel like I'm part of the witness protection program. So yes, I did in fact bring CDs, and for those of you who would like to take me home disease-free, we can work something out later on. Okay? So here's the tune. It's a sky the shade of iron. It's a storm just out of sight. They say the sun may shine tomorrow, but it's gonna rain like hell tonight. Yes, it's gonna rain like hell tonight. Even when there's no denying, thunder clouds, rising floods, still some won't believe what lies before their eyes. Oh, they're sinking in the mud. Do you ever stop to wonder, does it ever cross your mind that there's a world in which we struggle and the world we left behind? What has happened to the promise, to the brightest and the best? Yesterday we had the grandest dreams. Have they all been laid to rest? Are we gonna disregard the rest? 'Cause I believe to one to others as you'd have them do for you. What else fills with so much grace, so simple and so true? Do you ever stop to wonder, does it ever cross your mind that there's a world in which we struggle and the world we left behind? Remember the beginning, every hope so bright and new, and every shining possibility for the many, not the few. Some believe there'll be a rapture, and those with faith will disappear. Could it be it's all mythology, just a prayer to ease our fears? Is it just a prayer to ease our fears? Do you see them golden slippers? Do you hear that glory train? Do you make your peace right here, right now, with your laughter and your pain? If you're able, if you're king, remember the beginning. Every hope so bright and new, and every shining possibility for the many, not the few. Do you ever stop to wonder, does it ever cross your mind that there's a world in which we struggle and the world we left behind? Yes, there's a world in which we struggle and the world we left behind. Thank you. Thank you. I wrote that the day after the Katrina disaster, the debacle. I thought that the complete lack of city, state, and federal response was shameful and incomprehensible to me in a country as great as ours. And so I had to do something, and I didn't have any money, so I wrote him a song. Didn't feed one mouth, as I recall, but you know, you have to start somewhere, I guess. Yeah, I understand they played on the radio down there in New Orleans still. I love New Orleans. I travel all over the country, and one of the nice things about it actually is that I get to see people that I knew from high school and people that I've known all through my life, because I keep in contact with almost everyone. I even ran into my high school girlfriend in Virginia Beach a while ago. It was amazing too, because she's the same age as me, and she looked fantastic. And the first thing she said was, "Well, James, you're sure packing it on," you know. And I thought, because I used to be like 6'1" and 120 pounds, so I'm now 200 pounds. So I'm almost another person is on me, you know. Even my wife says, "You're really packing it on, James." And I said, "No, I've seen me naked. I look good." But she said, "No, you don't." And but I didn't believe her, you know, because that's actually part of our dynamic. She says it, I don't believe it. But anyway, I run into my high school girlfriend at this show in Virginia Beach, and she says, "James, are you going to do our song?" And I went, man. You know, I was thinking, I went to the 60s. The fact that I remembered her, I thought I was winning. You know what I mean? I thought I was really on top. I said, "Our song, Nancy." She said, "You know, the first 45 you ever bought." And I went, "Oh, right." And I flashed back to the first 45 I ever owned. It was a wonderful love song. I have no idea. I bought it in 1956 when I was 58, 10 years old. And it was a love song. And I have no idea why I was so crazy about it, because I hadn't actually had any experiences like that, you know, at 10. But I love the song. And my dad had given me one of these 45 RPM players that was, it was like a suitcase, little suitcase. It had a big fat spindle, and you'd stack all these 45s on there, and we just play them one at a time. And then if you left the guide arm back, it would play that one song over and over and over again. And I played this song. I'm not kidding. I played it 10,000 times. I played it every day. I played it all day long. My father, not a patient man, he used to encourage me to turn it off, you know. But he wasn't a gentle guy. It was never like, "Hey, Jim," you know. When my dad talked to me, it was like this: "Jimmy!" You know, every time he said my name, just like that, "Jimmy!" You know, I was never constipated as a child. He used to always tell me to turn that off. But I did listen to it a million times, and when Nancy asked for the song, I thought, do I know that song? And this is so weird. I don't know whether any of you play an instrument, but if you listen to a song over and over again and you play an instrument, it's almost by osmosis that it just gets into you, because she said, "Can you play it?" And I said, "Well, I've never played it, so I don't know." I went into the dressing room, and I knew it without even practicing or figuring it out. I just knew it, just from absorbing it 10 million times. So I'd like to play it for you all, because I like it so much. I didn't write this song, but I was going to. I'm on the national board of the Folk Alliance, and there's always a big argument about what is actually a folk song. And I think this is one, because every time I sing it anywhere in the country, everybody goes, "Ugh," and they sing along. And if that isn't a folk song, I don't know what is. But this is, here you go. Many a tear has to fall. Sing with me. But it's all in the day. All in the wonderful game that we know as love. You've had and your future's looking dim. But these things your hearts can rise above. Once in a while he won't call, but it's all in the game. Soon he'll be there at your side with a sweet bouquet. Then he'll kiss your lips and caress your waiting fingertips, and your heart's will fly away. And your future's looking dim, but these things your heart can rise above. Once in a while he won't call, but it's all in the game. Soon he'll be there at your side with his sweet bouquet. Then he'll kiss your lips and caress your waiting fingertips, and your hearts will fly away. Thank you. Isn't that a...
Who first?
Yes, it is.
I first heard it from Tommy Everett's 1958
Yeah, Tommy
MGM Records, yeah.
Yeah.
That was just such a great record. That's the one I played to death. But it was actually written in the 30s. Matter of fact, it was written by Charles Dawes, who was the vice president under Calvin Coolidge. It's really good. Can you imagine a vice president of the United States writing a song like that? I immediately go to what Cheney might have written, you know.
Duck hunting sweet.
Really. I'm thinking, you always shoot the one you bribe, but you know. I read a thing on the internet yesterday that said, wasn't a tin man in line for a heart before Dick?
Oh, good.
I love that one.
I'm sorry.
I think I'll do my other political song and then I'm done. I've been stalling. The dancers are here, folks. Phoebe. This is evidence, folks. We were huddled in the rain. In vain we waited for the train. And where were people warm and dry? Down on this street where mercy died. On the street where mercy died. On the street where mercy died. And smirking the appointed one does photo ops under the sun. Our sisters wail and brothers cry. Down on this street where mercy died. On the street where mercy died. On the street where mercy died. The street where mercy died. On the street where mercy died. To say the wind don't need a vein, it's just God's will, it's a hurricane. That flood that came like truth was spun, undone, tongue-tied, down on the street where mercy died. The street where mercy died. The street where mercy died. You feel you've been deceived and don't know who you can believe. Just follow where the money lies. Down on the street where mercy died. The street where mercy died. On the street where mercy died. The street where mercy died. On the street where mercy died. We'll say the wind don't need the rain. It's just God's will, it's a hurricane. That flood that came like none before can be traced back to that White House door. And if you feel you've been deceived and don't know who you can believe, just follow where the money lies. Down on the street where mercy died. The street where mercy died. On the street where mercy died. The street where mercy died. On the street where mercy died. In a house all painted white, lights were turned out for the night. In peaceful dreams, perhaps just sigh. Down on the street where mercy died.
That was actually the router part for today.
Very strange constitutional law answer. Tomorrow I'll wake up and uncover.
When you're lost in the rainy waters, it's Easter time too. When gravity fails you and negativity won't see you through, don't you put on your knees when you're down on Morgan Avenue. They got some hungry women there that really make a mess out of you. You see St. Annie, please tell her, thanks a lot. I cannot move my fingers, they're all in a knot. And I don't have the strength left to get up, take another shot. And my best friend, the doctor, won't even tell me what it is I do. Please believe me, the peasant's heart, the goddess of gloom. She speaks good English, she invites you up into her room. And you're so kind and careful not to go to her too soon. Because she'll take your voice, she'll leave you. She'll leave you howling at the moon. Up on the Hollywood hills, fortune don't fade. And you must choose one or the other, though neither will be what they claim. If you're looking to get they blackmailed the sergeant at arms in a leap in his post. And picking up Angel, who just arrived from the coast, who looked so fine at first and left looking just like a ghost. Started out on Burgundy, but I soon hit the harder stuff. Everybody said, we'll stand beside you, man, when the game gets rough. But the joke was on me, there was nobody even there to bluff. I'm going back to New York City, back to New York City. I'm going back to New York City. I do believe I've had bad enough. Thank you. That was a song by Bob Dylan. I predict big things for Bob.
Hey, Jay,
Yeah,
would you do requests?
yeah, I will.
Daddy's
Sure.
Eyes?
What?
Daddy's Eyes?
Oh yeah, I can do
I
that.
was gonna
Love
ask
that
that.
song.
Okay,
love
I haven't
that.
done it in a while, but I'll try to do it.
And Sam wants to.
As a matter of fact, you know what? Okay, I will do Daddy's
You've got
Eyes.
like people that love your music and know it.
It's so strange.
That's right.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, my dad, it's funny, you know that song, It's All in the Game? When that song came out, that was the year that my dad decided to get into gardening. But it wasn't his gift, you know, and he read, he just didn't, he had like it wasn't a black thumb, but it was pretty dark, you know. And he read in this magazine that if you cut back shrubbery, it grows back thicker. Well, in our backyard, we had this beautiful stand of hedges that surrounded the whole backyard and made the backyard like a secret garden. It was shady in there, it was cooler in there, it was private. It was my little world, you know. And my father went back there and to trim the hedges, and he took his chainsaw and when he finished trimming those hedges, I'm not kidding, they looked like little fists with no fingers just sticking up out of the earth, you know. Oh, it was so sad. I could not believe it. It took 8 years for the hedges to come back in my father's caretaking, you know. But anyhow, the day that he did it was a Saturday, and I was in my room listening to, you know, my record player, many a tear, you know, and all of a sudden my dad called me, Jimmy, you know, and I jumped up, I ran to the bathroom, I ran outside, I said, thank you, and I said, yes, sir, and my father's holding one of these used hedges in his hand, and he says, you see that? And I looked to where he was pointing, and I said, yes, sir, and he said, chop it up and burn it before I get home from work tonight. And then he, you know, he threw down the hedge and he walked off, got in his car and drove away. And I'm standing there utterly bewildered. I'm 10 years old and I'm thinking, what's wrong with that man? You know? I looked out to where he was pointing. There was nothing out there but the lawn furniture, you know? Now, to be fair, the lawn furniture were a bunch of big logs that my father had taken that same chainsaw to and cut into, you know, the shapes of torturous chairs, and there was one chunk of log that was on it, that was the table, you know. But my father, you did not argue with my dad. If he said jump, you just said, can I come down, you know. So I got my little Boy Scout axe and I went out there and I started chopping up that lawn furniture. And I'm not kidding, it took me the entire day. But I chopped up and burned every bit of that lawn furniture, burned it in the fireplace out there. And when I finished, I felt like it was my little bar mitzvah, you know, at 10 years old. I just worked a full day like a man, you know. I was so proud of myself. I looked over my handiwork, you know, and I'm feeling fantastic thinking that I had done a full day's work. I thought, this is great. I went back to my room and I was whipped, you know. I mean, a whole day of chopping and burning can tire a 10-year-old boy out. So I went into my little bedroom and I turned on my record player, many a tear, you know, and I'm lying there just digging Tommy Edwards. All of a sudden, Jimmy! Ah! You know, I jumped up, I ran to the bathroom, I came back out. I said, yes, sir. And my dad's got another piece of hedge in his hands. And he says, I thought I told you to chop this up and burn it. And that was when I noticed behind him this enormous mound of hedges, you know, and I realized that I hadn't thought this through. And I said, oh, Dad, this is going to kill you, Pop, because see, when you said, you see that, I'd see, like, that's over there, this is here, that's there, and when you said, you see that, I thought you meant the lawn furniture. And my father looks out where the lawn furniture used to be, you know. All there are is like dead circles in the grass, little wood chips all over the place. Pine smoke is wafting over the thing. And there's a bunch of little fists with their no fingers sticking up. And I thought his head was going to explode. You know how in cartoons where people's heads get red and they get bigger, and then there's more? I'm not kidding. That was my dad. He got his face got redder and redder and bigger and bigger. And I thought, wow, my dad's head's going to explode. You know? And he was so angry, he didn't even hit me. You know, he just went in the house. He was screaming to my mother, "Your son, he's a foundling. You know, he's not ours." You know. And I don't want you to think my childhood sucked, but that was a particularly grim weekend, as I recall. It seemed reasonable to me, you know. Anyhow, here's your song. It's called Daddy's Eyes. You're lucky to be alive, said a stranger, all in white. You'd be surprised how many times this happens in a night. The real surprise was waiting for me 9 months down that road. They brought you in for me to see. I felt my future unfold as I wrapped my arms around you, soothe your gentle cries. Then you looked straight up at me. You had your daddy's eyes. You got your daddy's eyes. I'm not likely to forget. And every time you look at me, that night comes back, and yet I cannot help but love you. Can't help but be surprised by all the pain that brought you here. You got your daddy's eyes. The days have turned the weeks to years. This pain time will not heal. Sometimes when you look at me, I know I can't conceal the memory of that brutal night, but now I never try. What matters is the love we share, and you got your daddy's eyes. You got your daddy's eyes, I'm not likely to forget. And every time you looked at me, that night comes back, and yeah, cannot help but love you, can't help but be surprised by all the pain that brought you here. You got your daddy's eyes. The Lord works in mysterious ways no man can understand. We must have faith in the seeds that grow from the fruit in the Master's hand. There is a plan, there is a God, there is a reason to. For every life, every pain, every one of you. Wonder what we're doing here, who sift for truth through life. Look carefully and you will find we've all got daddy's eyes. We've all got daddy's eyes. Daddy's eyes. Thank you. The morning after I chopped up and burned the lawn furniture, I was in my room, you know, my little record player, many a tear, you know. The door opens and my father said, "Jimmy!" You know, I ran up and ran to the bathroom, came back, "Yes, sir." And my father said, "I'm taking your mother and your sisters for ice cream in Bucks County. I don't want this door open till I get back." And he closes the door, you know, so I think, no, this is great. I'm 10 years old, my life already sucks, you know. My sisters and my mom and my dad are going to have ice cream in Bucks County, which was about 100 miles away, and back then on the 2-lane roads, it was an all-day affair. They were going to be going all day, and my father said, "I don't want this door open until I get back," and so, you know, and I never disobeyed him, ever. And so I was sitting there in my room, feeling really sorry for myself, when I realized that what my father actually said was, "I don't want this door open." That was his only instruction, you know.
I'm out the window.
I looked at the window, right, and I thought, well, you know, I can accommodate this. And so I put on my PF flyers and my bathing suit, and I went out the window and climbed down the rain stock, got on my bicycle, and rode 5 miles out into the Paoli Wilderness, out to Whitehorse Road, to a little creek that I had dammed up and called Lake Stanley. And that was my swimming hole, you know. I literally made the dam, and I dragged all these boulders out and made a sandy bottom, and it's still there. I went by, it's still there. But in any event, I went there, and I'm swimming, and I'm having the time of my life, you know. And then I remember my mom, who was clairvoyant. I told her, I never got away with anything, and she was the reason, because she was truly clairvoyant. Maybe all great mothers are clairvoyant. Maybe this comes with the gig. I don't know. But mine definitely was. And I thought, wow, I'm going to have to be really clever and resourceful, or I'm going to be restricted for the rest of my life, you know. And so I did one of those MacGyver things where I took inventory of what I had, you know. I had a bicycle, and on the back of the bicycle was a little leather bag on the seat, and in it I had a knife and matches and fishing hooks and monofilament line and bobbers and sinkers, you know, and that was all I had with me. And I thought, okay, what can I do here? And I figured it out, because I knew that if I came home with a wet bathing suit, my mom found a wet bathing suit when I was supposed to be in my room until they got back, it was over for me, you know. So here's what I did. I took the knife, I went out and I found some green saplings. I cut them, I got the monofilament line, and I tied them around the saplings, and I made like a wigwam affair out of these green saplings, you see. Then I got some old dried dead wood, and I built a fire. And then I took the wigwam, and I placed it over the fire. Then I took off my bathing suit, and I placed it over top of the wigwam. And so I made a dryer. You see how resourceful and clever I was. 10 years old, I'm telling you, I was on top of it. And so I've got my little bathing suit there drying on my little new dryer, you know, and I go back and I jump in the water and I'm swimming, and now I'm swimming naked, you know, and there's nothing like swimming naked when you're 10 years old. You feel like you've just gotten away with everything, you know. It's just fantastic. You're in the wilderness, you're swimming, you're naked, you know. It was just fabulous. And I'm swimming another time in my life thinking, oh, this is the life. Life is too good. It's too good, you know. And I look up and I notice that the wigwam was gone. And I thought, one of my friends, nobody's around but me. I'm thinking, how can this be? So I swam to shore and I ran up to the fire, and clearly I hadn't thought this through. Because what happened is that the fire made the monofilament line pliant. At which point it lost its hold on the wigwam, which collapsed into the fire, along with my bathing suit, which burned up in its entirety, except for the little elastic band, which was still bubbling and pregnant. Well, I knew this wasn't a good development, you know. I mean, I was 10 years old, but my parents had already instilled in me the idea that in public, trousers were a necessity, you know? Even to this day, I can't go in public without trousers. I'm wearing them now. You know, I always had to wear pants in public, you know? And I knew, so I thought, what can I do, you know? I'm 5 miles from home, and I'm naked, you know? So I saw, this is absolutely true. I get on a bicycle, and I'm thinking, well, I'll just pedal, you know, I'll just kind of stay scrunched over, and I'll pedal back. Now, to be perfectly fair, I was only 10 years old, you know, so it wasn't as though, how can I say this? Nothing of consequence had descended just yet. So, I mean, but I was still out there. As much as I was out there, I was out there. You know? So I'm riding home on this bicycle, and every time that a car came in either direction, I just rode the bike right into the shrubbery and fell over. You know, like, this happens all the time, you know, and I got all the way home and into my house, and nobody ever said, "Hey kid, where's your pants?" You know, and so I thought, I got away with it. I got away with it, you know. I got away with it. They never, although the next day they wanted to know how I got this terrible case of poison ivy on my willy. But I thought I pulled it off, you know. I thought that I did it. I got away. And years later, I was talking to my mom about something, and she said, "You know, we knew that you sneaked out that day." And I went, "You did?" She said, "Sure." She said, "I wasn't going to tell your father, but yeah, I knew." And she said, "James, you only had one bathing suit. When it just disappeared, I knew something was up, you know." And I thought, wow, I never got away with anything ever, even that time, you know. Anyhow, my mom is no longer with us. But she's in my heart, and I'm with her every day, and I sing this song for her every single day. I wrote this as a celebration of her life, and it's called "Let the Tree Fall." It was a season of transition. It was a season of true loss, and the eternal contradiction between the spring and winter's frost. It was the time before we knew. You can't remember what his were. There was denial and refusal, and finally rebirth. So let the tree fall, let the river flow, and when the time comes, you change the things you have the strength to, except whatever you cannot, and then you pray to know the difference. Yes, you give it all you got. And when the wheel has come full circle around these days and nights sublime, then it would serve us to remember all things must come and go in time. So let the tree fall, let the river flow, and when the time comes, let the tree fall, let the river flow, and when the time comes, when the time comes, when the time, you just let go. You cannot stop a raging river or the tides that have flown, but if you reach down deep inside your heart, you'll find the strength to just let go. And let the tree fall. It wasn't just the things she taught me, it was the way her life was lived. It was the sacred joy she carried into everything she did. And I remember what she told me about these seasons that we live. She said that love is all that matters, and in the end you must forgive. And let the tree fall. Let the tree fall, you let the river flow. When the time comes, when the time comes, when the time comes, well, you just let go.
At dusk, there came a turning. There was a moment when all was known. You could feel beauty rising on the breeze that shapes the stone, and I would ride upon the breeze that shapes the stone across the sky and beyond, to that place where all is known. When I could fly, when I could fly down that road.